Thank you for joining the Thursday edition of Journalist Hangout. I am Veronica Danik Boy. Today on the program, court orders Abaribe to produce Nnamdi Kanu. Police boss vows not to tolerate kidnapping of policemen. PDP replies Obasanjo says without him, their party will not die. And later on the program, reps task federal government on extreme poverty eradication. I will be hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju, Martins Oloja, and Wale Adedayo. Gentlemen, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for coming too, bro.
Journalist Hangout starts now.
This is Abdullahi Umar Ganouji, the governor of Kanu State. I do watch journalists hang out. I don't miss it. I ask you, please don't miss it. Thank you.
All right, Nnamdi Kanu of the indigenous people of Biafra, that's IPOB, is a man of character. First, he claimed to be a liberator and later became a Jew. But when it was time to test the strength of his cause, he simply disappeared into thin air. Today, it is not so difficult to tell exactly the kind of character that Nnamdi Kanu is. In April, Senator Abaribe and two others fell for his character. They stood surety for him, but now they might either take his place in jail or lose their bail bond. A federal high court in Abuja has ordered them to appear before it on November the 20th to explain the whereabouts of Kanu. Now, where is Nnamdi Kanu? I'll start with you, Jide. I don't know if you have an answer to that question, but...
I'm not a shorty. And I could never have agreed to be a shorty for a man like that.
So how did Senator Abaribe find himself in this quagmire? I'm sure he didn't think or see this coming.
Yes, Abaribe probably wanted to give himself some form of immortality amongst Easterners. You know, he stepped forward to be counted. And at that time, many people were happy that he offered to be Kanu's shorty, so that at least Kanu can get out of detention and hopefully respect the laws of Nigeria and generally behave himself. But as it turned out, the moment Kanu came out and he saw that so many people had already in their hearts made him a hero, he decided to overstep the bounds of decency and began to act in a way that was really disturbing to the people who did their best to get him out of detention. You will recall that Abaribe himself said that he called him, along with others on August 23rd, called him to a meeting and said that, look, they told him to his face that he was not conforming to his bail conditions and that he should learn to respect the laws of Nigeria. And after that, the last time Abaribe spoke to him was September 11, which was the same day that the army allegedly stormed his house. So since then, according to him, nobody has seen Kanu, nobody knows where he is. And we are hearing stories that some are even saying that the army has killed him. No matter what you say about the Nigerian army, it's not an army full of saints. It's probably known for being harsh on people. But I don't think the Nigerian army will be so irresponsible as to go and take the life of someone like Kanu. No matter what they have done in the past, I don't think they can go to that extent. So my own feeling is that Kanu is somewhere hiding, either outside Nigeria or outside of Nigeria. My advice to him is to come out of hiding and let this whole drama come to an end.
All right, Martin, so speaking about the army, some say that it was when the army invaded his home that Nnamdi Kanu somewhat disappeared, and possibly he could have been in court if not the fact that the army invaded his home.
Yes, and I think that's a discussion point, because if you have listened to some lawyers that have talked about this issue, that is a point at which they talk about frustration of a bail bond. Because there was a date for him to appear in court. Yeah. And this date was known to the authorities. But mysteriously, on the 11th September, they invaded his residence, and we've seen images of gunshots and what have you. And since that time, nobody has had any sound bite. Nobody has seen him. He has not signed any statement. He has not spoken to anybody. And the courts are now asking, where is Nnamdi Kanu? And then some three men, 100 million
Naira.
100 million naira worth of bail bond. Yes, they signed, 3 of them. Now they are asking them to produce him. You know, they have spelled out the 3 options. Bring him. If you want to opt out, as Abaribe is trying to do now, but yeah, they have to produce him first. And if he cannot produce him, he has to lose the
bail bond.
The bail bond. And this is the issue. But then, even we ordinary people can ask a question: why did the army invade his residence when they knew that there was a court process and he had to appear on a date? Why didn't they wait if he was to be arrested or whatever they were looking for him for? That they should have waited for the court process. Maybe after the court session, they would have arrested him. So these are the questions, and we feel that the answer to this question should not blow in the wind.
Who are those that can answer the question? The army?
Maybe one day.
He's a standing spokesman of the army.
No, I agree with my colleague that what happened between the army and the IPOB guys was a bit on the bad side. Initially, what we read, what the army said was this operation Python that was going on there, that they were just on routine patrol, not going to his place. But allegations came later. They actually went to his place, and as a result of that, they disappeared now. There are 2 issues involved. One, they shouldn't have gone there. That's a failure of intelligence. Even if the army was going to be involved, the Directorate of Military Intelligence should have done that job, not soldiers in uniform. Maybe to monitor him, to make sure that he doesn't escape and things like that. And the DSS is very, very good at that. I am aware of that. They should have monitored him, monitor his calls, monitor his movement physically. You have watchers here and there that you can post. But the second thing is that a number of people have been calling Kanu a coward and things like that. I mean, I don't agree with that at all. Because if Mandela did not hand himself in, a freedom fighter who is the head of a liberation movement, you just don't give yourself up to the authorities just like that. You do everything possible to secure yourself, because if you
So you're saying he's hiding, he's trying to secure himself?
No, you don't understand. It's what the organization is leading. If you read the Bible, Jesus Christ mentioned a parable. You strike the shepherd and the sheep will scatter. It's something that is used in war strategy, especially among liberation fighters. Once the leadership, who has a fantastic charisma, is captured or killed, the thing sometimes fizzle out, except you are able to reproduce something like that in a very, very short period of time. If you are not able to reproduce him, then end of story. So there's no big deal in the guy hiding. That's just it for me. Because once he's gone, unless there is somebody else who's going to replace him soon, then end of story. The whole IPOB thing will just fizzle out. And that's why I mentioned the other time that what America does most of the time, though it's not right, I mean, it's not okay, but what they do most of the time, target leadership of organizations that are giving them problems. They take them out. They take the person out. That's just it. So for me, I mean, speaking objectively, there's no big deal in the guy going into hiding or whatever. After all, Ojukwu went into exile after, I mean, even before the Civil War ended. He didn't,
before it ended.
He didn't wait to be captured or to even surrender. He ran away too. So that's just it. So once the idol, the icon is out of the picture.
You see, the thing is, my own concern really is not about him hiding. My concern is the lawyer saying that that is the soldiers who have taken him away, and that the soldiers have a responsibility to bring him to court.
But I don't want
So,
propaganda.
no, yes, you see, but the thing is, if the lawyer had not been talking like that, I wouldn't have been saying what I've been saying. You see, if you want to hide so that the struggle can go on, let's know. You can even ridicule them about the fact that they don't know where you are. Sheikh does that all the time. You give a 40-day ultimatum. After the 40-day ultimatum, we shoot a video and ridicule you. You know? So this, you gave a second one. After the second one, the army are now wise to the folly of constantly giving a kind of timeline to capture a man that you don't know where he is. So in this case now, the lawyer has kept saying that he's sure it's in the hands of the army and all that.
I think that one is linked to the issue we raised earlier about the invasion.
Of his house.
Now what the lawyer wants to plead now is frustration of a bail bond. That who frustrated it? That this is what happened. Exactly. And then they have been showing evidence of shooting.
And isn't that giving them an upper hand in this whole case?
Well, that is the strategy that Jide should consider, that the lawyer too is looking for a way out for his client. Exactly. Because this is what happened before that time. That because of the shooting, because of what happened in his compound, he has disappeared. That is why even people who have this conspiracy theory could say maybe he was killed.
No, but he was not even in his house at the time.
But you know that
was he in his house at the time?
We have to examine certain process that
it's all propaganda.
Before this time.
Why are you taking propaganda so seriously?
The guy was not hiding.
Yes, before now he wasn't hiding.
He wasn't hiding.
He wasn't in the bush.
But once war was brought to his door, once war was brought to his door,
but will you have
decided
if you were
no, it was wrong.
It was wrong. It was wrong for them to have invaded his house.
No, you see, the thing is, I've said from the beginning that our handling of Kanu's matter was wrong.
Yes,
we made a hero. We made a hero out of an insignificant fellow. I said it from the beginning that we would regret it. And then you see, keeping him that long also. Gave him
got the empathy he wanted.
Profile.
Yes.
But even right now, to counter the lawyer's narrative, the army and most likely the DSS helping the army, because I know that the DSS have better capability in that regard than the army.
Yes.
They have to put the lawyers up in their own game in this propaganda business that the army may have killed him or they are keeping him somewhere, this and that. Going on an operation like that, the PR people, I mean, I'm talking about the intelligence people now, not the normal PR people who issue press statements. Their military intelligence people ought to be part of that operation. In fact, they are the first people who ought to be on ground.
The interagency rivalry will not even have.
No. The army, they have their own intelligence people. They have their own intelligence people. They are supposed to be on ground even before the uniform people get there. They are even the ones that are supposed to provide them with information.
All right.
Whatever scenario we examine here will also have to be examined before your lordship.
Exactly.
In the court. That this is what happened because they have been talking about frustration of a process. That this is the process that was in place. The guy
but
didn't
Nnamdi
go
himself
into
had,
hiding.
broken all the.
These are the look at the list of bail bonds.
Yes, he had broken.
At the time, he even, as I said elsewhere, on another platform. You know, when they gave him this bail bond, he signed this bail bond. They signed for him, and at a time, even people from the southeast were asking for his arrest. He was not arrested. When he started, they told him, don't hold rallies. He started holding rallies. They left him alone.
Shouldn't be amongst more than 10 persons.
Grant interviews. Must not be in a crowd of more than 10 people. He must provide free shot. One shortest must be blah, blah, blah. You know, when he started
because they felt that moving against him could become bloody. Because you will always find him in groups of hundreds of people. And they didn't want to do something that would lead to bloodshed. Remember that even Colonel Dangiwa Umar also warned against rearresting him. He felt that the mood was not,
that is exactly
did not support
why
that
we have
kind
also
of action.
been saying that this thing is not so legal. It's a political issue, and even the intelligence people you are talking about, they have been handling political issues.
Because I know that the DSS have better capability in that regard than the army.
Yes.
They have to put the lawyers up in their own game in this propaganda business, that the army may have killed him or they are keeping him somewhere, this and that. Going on an operation like that, the PR people, I mean, I'm talking about the intelligence people now, not the normal PR people who issue press statements. Their military intelligence people ought to be part of that operation. In fact, they are the first people who ought to be on ground.
The interagency rivalry will not even.
The army, they have their own intelligence people. They have their own intelligence people. They are supposed to be on ground even before the uniform people get there. They are even the ones that are supposed to provide them with information.
All right.
Whatever scenario we examine here will also have to be examined before your lordship.
Exactly.
In the court. That this is what happened, because they have been talking about frustration of a process. That this is the process that was in place. The guy didn't
Nnamdi himself
go into
had,
hiding.
broken all the.
These are the, look at the list of bail bonds.
Yes, he had
At
broken.
the time, he even, as I said elsewhere, on another platform, you know, when they gave him this bail bond, he signed this bail bond. They signed for him, and at a time, even people from the southeast were asking for his arrest. He was not arrested. When he started, they told him, don't hold rallies. He started holding rallies. They left him alone.
Shouldn't be amongst more than 10 persons.
Not grant interviews. Must not be in a crowd of more than 10 people. He must provide free shot. One shortage must be blah, blah, blah. You know, when he started
because they
reaching
felt
this
that
thing,
moving against him could become bloody. Because you will always find him in groups of hundreds of people. And they didn't want to do something that would lead to bloodshed. Remember that even Colonel Dangiwa Umar also warned against rearresting him. He felt that the mood was not,
that is exactly
did not support
why
that
we have
kind of
also
action.
been saying that this thing is not so legal. It's a political issue, and even the intelligence people you are talking about, they have been handling political issues. Exactly. They are there not only for the protection of people in power, to gather intelligence that will help even a political process. They gather intelligence to advise the
the strategy was wrong.
The strategy
from the beginning and even the culmination.
After signing this thing, that's a way they can talk to him, because you cannot be higher, you cannot be bigger in your country. And as Lord Denny said, be ye ever so high, the law is above you. Be ye ever so high, the law is above you.
So what happens now?
He does not read such people, and he will not listen to such
gentlemen, looking forward now.
Full of intelligent people, very educated people, and then they study strategy, they know what to do with it at such a time like this. You know that political coloration of this case is there.
No, that's why I said they need to go back to the drawing board.
That's why I'm coming to the question of looking forward now. What options are available to both sides in terms of Senator Abaribe? What options are open to him?
Give him more time. Maybe during that time, Kanu will be found.
And what happens if Kanu is not found?
No. I don't think Senator Abaribe, if he has a good lawyer, I don't think there is any big deal about this, because already the government messed up itself now. They went to
frustration of a
because
process.
In the first place, Abaribe is not the one that will enforce these bail conditions. It is the responsibility of government, either the judiciary or the law enforcement agents, to enforce these bail conditions.
The matter is not about enforcement of bail.
No, wait.
The matter is where he is.
No. She's talking about the way forward.
That's the reason.
The thing is,
the way forward is the question is where. How do we see him?
Two issues: Abaribe and Kanu himself. The thing is, I don't think there's any big deal about Abaribe if he has a good lawyer. Because for God's sake, the federal government fucked itself up with what has happened. End of story. That's what the lawyer can argue that successfully.
That's what but on the question of Kanu, that you can frustrate the process. It's part of the legal defense.
All right.
If Kanu still have
a bail process,
the love of the country at heart, that is Nigeria, which he has denounced.
It does not seem
several times.
Of course, Nigeria is
you understand now? Then he needs to show up. But on the other hand, too, whether he likes it or not, one, I mean, if you want separation for the Southeast or something like restructuring or regionalism or whatever for the Southeast, you cannot do it outside of what is currently on ground by virtue of the 1999 Constitution. So he has to, whether he likes it or not, to show face. End of story. Because without that, there are 5 states or so in the Southeast. The South has associated themselves from Biafra.
The leadership there.
Now, there is no international body you go to without your House of Reps members, without your senators, without your governors, without your House of Assembly members, nobody will listen to you out there.
All right.
Catalonia, the regional governor
Jude,
there,
your
was
contribution.
very
We
much
need to move
involved
forward
in what
from
they
this
were doing.
topic. Jude, your contribution, your final take on this topic.
I'm convinced that Kanu is hiding somewhere, and he needs to come out. He needs to come out. He wanted referendum. Referendum is not recognized by the Nigerian Constitution, so we couldn't have given him a referendum. So now, whatever you want to achieve within the Nigerian state, you can still achieve it through peaceful means, not by labeling people zoo managers, calling our president Sudanese and all that. You can still achieve your aim. We just saw what Buhari did now by approving the payment of pension to even Biafran soldiers. So
Police.
you see, Biafran police, you know. So you can still, the Easterners can still achieve their aim in a structured Nigeria, which each and every one of us should play his part in ensuring that we achieve at the end of the day. So I believe that it can still, there is a better future for him in our country if he steps out of hiding. I believe that he should not, he should continue to, I believe that the shepherd should not leave the sheep in the way that he has done.
All right, Martins, we need to quickly move forward.
Definitely, I believe that even the leadership of this country should regard this as a political settlement issue. That it is not more of a judicial issue. It's a political issue now consumed and nurtured by demand for federalism, demand for devolution, demand for regionalism, demand for this, the demand for that. So it's a political issue that should be settled in a political manner. As a father, that he is the father of the nation.
Okay, moving on now. Today, kidnapping has taken a brazen dimension in Nigeria. Ordinarily, the police would have come to mind as the first defense of the people when confronted by the menace. But the story is fast becoming hopeless. In the last few months, police officers have become targets of kidnappers. On Wednesday, Inspector General of Police Ibrahim Idris described the situation as embarrassing and annoying. He urged policemen to be careful and ensure that protecting themselves is key and paramount. But critics say the police chief should not just wish the situation away by empty rhetorics, but roll out a clearly defined action plan. Will Nigerians ever get an effective police? Asatutu.
Well, you know, I was laughing while you were talking, and my reason is simple. Ordinarily, the citizens expect the police to protect them from kidnappers. Now, kidnappers are picking on policemen. So who is going to protect anybody? But I think
use OPC to protect.
No, I think the challenge really is that I don't think the kidnapping really is a problem. It depends on the category of policemen that are being kidnapped. It is possible the kidnappers have seen some policemen in the same category as they see politicians. Maybe because of their postings, maybe because of some jobs outside of their normal law enforcement duties they've been doing before. Because before you are kidnapped, directly or indirectly, the kidnapper is sure that you have a lot of money to pay. It's not just a question of kidnapping for fun. There will be ransom demands. So if there's going to be ransom demand, that presupposes that the guy has some things stashed somewhat. Yeah, exactly. Because I can't imagine, I mean, as the generality of the police usually complain that the welfare is poor, blah, 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 and so on. So if some categories of policemen are being kidnapped, then beyond the law enforcement angle targeting the kidnappers, I think the IG too needs to look more at his men. The category of policemen who are being kidnapped. Why? Because for me as a journalist, the first question is why? It's not just a question of ransom now. I mean, it's not just a question of just ordinary ransom. But ordinarily, we expect that the average policeman is not doing well financially.
All right.
So, and if a kidnapper is going after them, that means there is something they stand to gain from that in terms of cash. So where is the cash coming from?
All right, but Martins,
high command.
Category or not, this shouldn't be happening. The police force, you're talking about security personnel here, being kidnapped.
You know that this is a very bad story. Because when you are traveling at such a time like this, anywhere you go, when you see policemen around, when you see police vehicles, you feel secure, you feel very happy that yes, it is well. But when they are the ones that are being kidnapped and they can't help themselves, And this is it will be very scary to the people. The people will feel insecure.
It sends a bad message.
It sends a very bad message to the people that we are not secure in this country. And going to the question whether Nigeria will ever get effective police, you know, just yesterday at the editorial board meeting, there was this story of police, which tells the story of how it can be done. You know, one of our big men just talked one terrible thing about what happened through the police, that the police didn't do well. And then again, 2 professors who are members of the editorial board, 2 very senior professors, one a woman, another one a man. I don't want to give particular, but just the message. They gave good testimonies of what police did. One of the professors said, even this one police officer like that helped him to a place in a traffic and helped him for more than 20 minutes to get out of a log jam. And at the end of the day, he was so impressed that he gave the police 10,000 naira. And the person says, thank you very much, sir. Didn't know him. Didn't know that this is a professor, an old professor. Like that. The man said he just started weeping.
Oh.
And
He
then
didn't touch the money.
He didn't touch the money. And then another one talked about even waved a woman, a professor. These are not frivolous people. Waved her own handset that I just recovered this handset after 3 months. I did not see the police officers through this RRS. I sent a message to them, and they have been dealing with me on phone, and they recovered my phone from the person
I
who
need to
stole
bring
it.
Jide
And you know
in
that
now.
they are, you know, in other words, when you look at these stories, you discover that if you actually reform, you equip the police force, it can work. Because they always work well when they go for international peacekeeping operations. But this one now that you are kidnapping them shows that something is wrong with the foundation. The foundation. Something is wrong with the foundation.
I need to bring Jide in now. Looking at the IGP is telling them that they need to protect themselves first. And when you read between the lines, does that really talk about intelligence gathering in terms of looking beyond your nose?
Kidnappers can strike anytime. Because even the man living near your house, next to you, your house help can even be the one behind your kidnap. I remember Governor Dixon, when he was in the House of Reps, his PA arranged the kidnap of his mother. So in such a situation, strategies, security strategies, intelligence gathering and all that is thrown out the door. What we are talking about is policemen, according to the IG, policemen, especially those, because they are not kidnapping lowly policemen, they are kidnapping policemen from the rank of ACP, Assistant Commissioner of Police, DPOs and all that. So these are people that they are kidnapping. And he's saying that, look, how can you, a DPO, with all the policemen at your disposal, how can you not be able to protect yourself? And the IG is saying that the man who was kidnapped in Zamfara, who was on holiday and was traveling alone. So he's saying that policemen need to take precautions, protect themselves as they move around and all that. So that is the point that he's making. The shame of it all is that the people who have a responsibility to protect you and I are themselves vulnerable to being kidnapped. So, but he is saying that they must protect themselves. You have no business protecting other people without protecting yourself. You don't think that because you are a policeman, you are insulated against kidnappers. So kidnappers have taken the war to the door of the police.
That's a challenge.
That is the thing. So if you are saying, oh, we are going to wipe out, and you know the IG in the last few months has been talking about the need to wipe out these boys. He's been talking about the need to make the law more punitive. So the guys have now said, okay, you are coming after us, so we are not going to wait. We are taking the door to you. So it's designed now to really unsettle the IG and to show that even these people
are vulnerable.
So for us, the IG's concern should not even just be about its own people. What is the national strategy against kidnapping? The Senate just passed the law whereby you get 30 years if you collude with a kidnapper. And if a kidnapper, if someone dies in the hands of a kidnapper, it's death penalty. So, but the laws are not enough. The laws are not enough. The strategies must be watertight. The strategies must ensure that it's extremely difficult for kidnappers to get away with kidnapping. It is at that time that Nigerians will be able to sit back and say, yes, we are winning the war. I suggested here some time ago that there should be a national emergency because kidnapping has now become a national crime. Every part of Nigeria, kidnapping is taking place. Fulanis, who in the past just busied themselves with their cattle, have now taken to kidnapping. Of 4 people, they've taken to kidnapping now. Everywhere, most of the most recent kidnap cases, even in the south, were carried out by Fulanis. So it's like no tribe now in Nigeria sees the other tribe as capable of even monopolizing the art of kidnapping. They too are doing it. You go to look at the Kaduna Expressway, Kaduna Abuja. Yeah. It has become a dangerous place. Now, when the IG descended on that highway, they moved to Katsina and began to kill. Even in the south, were carried out by Fulanis. So it's like no tribe now in Nigeria sees the other tribe as capable of even monopolizing the art of kidnapping. They too are doing it. You go to look at the Kaduna Expressway, Kaduna Abuja. Yeah. It has become a dangerous place. Now, when the IG descended on that highway, they moved to Katsina and began to kidnap people. So it's already now a national problem, and we must solve the problem.
What are your solutions you're proffering, Martin?
You know, this issue, every week, anywhere people are gathered about this, either criminality, crime, management, whatever, we'll talk about this police. So many reports on how police, you know, that the scary story about this thing is what he just said and where we started with, that if police themselves are not protected and they are not secure, to the extent that the IG was telling them now they should secure themselves. If they secure themselves, it means that we cannot be secure. If they will concentrate on only themselves. So
it's their bosses that he said they should protect.
Definitely they should protect.
How can you be going on leave? What of the people? You are a big man in the police. Some of them are driving in their private vehicles, their SUVs, and you are driving alone.
Every day, you yourself here, you will be reeling out the inadequacies. When we deal with police, we go to a police station, sometimes they don't have paper to even record your case. You look at the rickety vehicles they use sometimes. Yeah, you find some good ones in Lagos alone. And then that one will continue to lead us to what does the federal government want to do with police to protect 180 million people?
State police.
So is that why they can't even protect themselves? Is that
why they can't protect themselves?
The same people we allocate, the same police will allocate about 15 mobile policemen to an individual. I saw a musician about 3 days ago with about 5 mobile policemen.
Okay.
So if the ACP that was kidnapped even had 2 or 3, maybe that wouldn't.
We have a caller on the line quickly. We need to take Benga calling from Abuja. Benga, are you there?
Good evening, gentlemen.
Good evening. Go ahead with your contribution.
My name is Benga from Abuja.
All right.
Let me start with the police issue. The policemen I know, I've interacted with them, are ready to work if they are well paid, well treated, well armed, and they have an assurance that when it happens to them, they are dependent, like their family and the other ones will not be left alone, that will be taken care of. So the police will give the best to Nigerians. Number 2 is the case of Kanu. The army has not done anything bad in invading his house. No matter if a criminal is hiding somewhere, and as an information that as a plan or things to do there that will be of harm or threat to security of the country, the soldier has the right to invade there. Nobody has shown on the video that this man was killed or taken away alive by soldiers. Even the lawyer that is always shouting here and there have not produced any evidence to show that he saw him being carried or being taken away by any law enforcement agent.
All right, so, Benga, thank you for your contribution.
I think we'll just clear the air on this Kanu thing. Kanu, by himself, after the invasion of his house, took journalists round, showed journalists bullet holes and all that.
He said he was sleeping at the time.
And 3 days, it was just 3 days after
the invasion.
Oh no! 3 days after he met with journalists, that his lawyer began this story of, oh, we don't know where he is. The invasion had taken place. They had left. Soldiers had left, and you took journalists round. So at what point did you now decide to go and hide? So I don't think this whole thing is a conspiracy. We know that mistakes were made. Or it's a propaganda. It's conspiracy.
All right, we need to move on now to our next topic, talking about the People's Democratic Party. Is fighting really hard to save its soul. The party was knocked 6 feet below in 2015, and since then it has moved from one trouble to another. One of the individuals whose exit arguably compounded the woes of the party is former President Olusegun Obasanjo. As the party intensifies efforts to reconcile its members, the elder statesman insists that he would not return to the party. When it appears that the party had reached a dead end with him, it says whether he returns or not, it would not die. Is Obasanjo's decision a smart one? Chidi, I know Obasanjo is your friend.
Yes, I like the old man so much. I like him from the rear. You see, the PDP guys are a very ridiculous bunch. Before the election, they went prostrated to a man who tore their party's membership card. He got someone, he got one of his supporters to tear. That's the extent to which it diminished the party. In fact, it was too big to even tear the card by himself. So he got someone. I remember that man wearing one lace like that, lace material. And then the old man wearing lace material tore Obasanjo's card. As if that humiliation was not enough, they kept going there like a headless hen. They kept going to meet Baba. He would beg Baba this and the man told you that he had made up his mind. Maybe they thought Obasanjo is a man of is a little-minded fellow that can decide today, tomorrow change his decision another. And he said, look, I don't want to have anything to do with your party. But they continue to go to him. Look at what they've done this time around. They went to Obasanjo again. The energy that they are expending trying to get Obasanjo to return to their party, they can as well use that energy to organize a very effective elective convention on the 9th of December. They can use that energy trying to reconcile the people who, the members of the party who are aggrieved by the way the judgment of the Supreme Court went against Sheriff. They can use that energy showing Nigerians that they are a credible alternative to the government that is, to the current administration, you know, the current party in power. They can do that. And there are areas where they can actually hit the APC hard. But they are not doing that. They are just wasting their time. The other day, too, they went to this man from Osun State, Olagunsoye Oyinlola, and prostrated, come to our party. Olagunsoye has been given an appointment by the APC now. So you even chose the wrong time. When Olagunsoye was languishing, waiting to be given an appointment, you didn't move in. It was after the party, the government had given him something that you now decided that you wanted him back in the PDP. I mean, and look at the way Obasanjo ran the show. He told McCarthy that McCarthy should not address the press. He should not even talk to the party members who had gathered in their hundreds at the party secretariat, which is adjacent to Obasanjo's facility. So those ones left for home angry that their national chairman came and refused to see them. So Obasanjo ran the show, yet the show did not go according to the plan of the PDP members. I think that it's ridiculous of them to be going to a man who had made up his mind that, look, that is even true with partisan politics. I see them, they're going to IBB and the rest, and these guys are even ashamed to publicly proclaim that they belong to the PDP. People like IBB, they believe that, no, it's beneath them to come out and tell people that they are still in the PDP. They may have sympathy for them, but it's those people that you are going to waste your time with. Many Nigerians see the PDP as a party of economic vandals. So very few of those high-up people will want to publicly identify with the party. Unless the current administration self-destructs up to that point that they can now say, what do we do? There's no other thing, alternative. Maybe we should just go the PDP way. But I mean, they are wasting their time going out.
Let me bring Martin in. Possibly, there could be something they feel Obasanjo could offer for the party. That's why they keep going back to him. What's his political capital at this point? Well,
you know that as a former president, two-term president, he, a former head of state, before he was elected, is a big man. And Obasanjo is a very credible person. There is a sense in which you can say that he is one of the last few men standing. And he believes in Nigeria, is very hardworking. Most of the world leaders know him. And anytime they want to do something at AU level, even the Queen's mother, and they wanted to do a legacy in Africa, the ambassador that they chose. He's a very credible person. But let me say this. We have to appeal to people like Obasanjo that there is no way we can deconstruct or we can even talk about whatever happened to Nigeria through any political party. He served on that platform for 2 terms. On the platform of PDP for 2 terms. If they went to him for reconciliation, they are doing their job because it's time of reconciliation. And the Constitution is very clear. You cannot be anything in this country. We will come to this round table to talk about the power and the importance of a political party in a party system, in a parliamentary democracy, in any kind of democracy. The political party is very important. I agree with Jide that instead of wasting their time begging that an Obasanjo, they should embark on some damage control measures that will enable more credible people to come to the party. Because that is what we would like political parties. Some of us are already writing. We have started writing and appealing to people to come to this 2019 because elections have consequences. I keep quoting Obama, that elections have consequences. And you cannot go through these elections without passing through that platform of a political party. And that's why they need to reconcile, they need to reorganize, they need to regain credibility before we can get people to join. Having said that one, President Obasanjo will have to take part of the blame of why we are where we are because he has used that platform. Whatever he wants to do, if they destroy the party, fine. But we Nigerians are very concerned that we do not have elders that are building political parties because you cannot get a leader anywhere at all levels, whether National Assembly or in the executive arm without passing through a political party. We need an overhaul of the political party system that will enable credible people to believe in their programs.
Being on the path of reconciliation and trying to bring together some level of credibility for the party, can they really achieve that on their own? Because there seem to be still some factioning within the PDP as we see.
No, they can do that. They can do that on their own. They can achieve it. It's achievable, but it depends on the leadership and the level of seriousness they attach to it. But in politics, you know, most of the time, the average person is not interested in what the party wants or the good of the party. It's me first. What is in it for me? If you are thinking of the good of the party, if you are thinking of the good of the country, because like he rightly said, nobody can aspire to any position in Nigeria without going through a political party. There is no independent candidates in our constitution. If you want to run for any office, you need to go through a political party. So for those of them in PDP, if they really love their party, I was reading a book just now before the program started. I started reading it a few days ago. It's about how President Muhammadu Buhari's election was won, how the voting was organized and all those things. And there's a passage there, pragmatism and puritanism. So those of them who believe they are Puritans, no, we are pure people in PDP, we don't want anybody with this, we don't want anybody with that, we are the solid PDP people, blah, blah, blah. Those are the Puritans. They will meet their Waterloo at the appropriate time. But if they have pragmatic people, in politics, you have the mad people, you have the saints, you have the sinners. Directly or indirectly, you just have to weigh the extremities of what you have and bring everybody together. There's no sense in politics anywhere. To me, that's the way I say, whether in here or abroad. But the thing is, you just have to weigh some factors. So if their leadership, if they put their thinking caps on, and they are thinking in terms of Nigeria, the good of Nigeria, and they are thinking in terms of the good of their party, the future of their party, that it should survive. Because somebody like me, I want a vibrant opposition in Nigeria. If they are thinking in terms of the good of their party, they have no choice than to reach out to those they are currently quarreling with. But, like Jide rightly said, not those who are in APC, for God's sake. I mean, to me, it's not a smart move. Somebody is well entrenched in the opposition, and you want to, I mean, in the ruling party, you want to engage the person in the opposition. It doesn't make sense.
Quickly, we have a caller on the line from London. Are you there?
Hello?
Hello, go ahead with your contribution.
Okay, please. Actually, what I want to ask is, how do you say it? If somebody called Nigeria a zoo, what is his punishment in the Nigerian law?
I didn't get the question.
Actually, I wanted to talk to Jide.
Okay.
Himself, but yeah, if I can ask him a question.
Jide is not a court.
Okay, so
I don't know if
Jide.
he's listening to me.
Yeah, you said
I'm watching the TV. I don't hear them.
there's no.
Hello?
Yes, we can hear you.
The Constitution does not envisage a situation in which someone will call his country a zoo. That was my answer.
All right, I'm sure that Sonny has gotten the answer to his question. But then, moving forward, we have said that PDP needs to, form a formidable party. And Jide, how are they really on the path to achieving that?
I think in little ways they are on the path, because the first thing that happened,
Entrenched in the opposition, and you want to, I mean, in the ruling party, you want to engage the person in the opposition. It doesn't make sense.
Quickly, we have a caller on the line from London. Are you there?
Hello?
Hello, go ahead with your contribution.
Okay, please. Actually, what I want to ask is, how do you say it? If somebody called Nigeria a zoo, what is his punishment in the Nigerian law?
I didn't get the question.
Actually, I wanted to talk to Jide.
Okay.
Himself, but yeah, if I can ask him a question.
Jide is not a court.
Okay, so
I don't know if
Jide.
he's listening to me.
yeah, you said
I'm watching the TV. I don't hear them.
there's no.
Hello?
Yes,
We
we
said-
can hear you.
The Constitution does not envisage a situation in which someone will call his country a zoo. That was my answer.
All right, I'm sure that Sonny has gotten the answer to his question. But then, moving forward, we have said that PDP needs to, form a formidable party. And Jide, how are they really on the path to achieving that?
I think in little ways they are on the path, because the first thing that happened, I mean, the victory for McCarthy was a good omen, because the mainstream PDP is with him. It's like more than 80% of the PDP members were with him. So it was good that he won that judicial battle. And then they've made preparations for their convention. It's very important, because we've not even seen the APC show signs that they too can have that kind of convention. To even hold meetings is a problem. So I think they are on the right path. I just don't want them to distract themselves and make themselves look foolish by going after an old man who has told them repeatedly that he will not. On the 3rd of September this year, Sheriff went to Obasanjo, and Obasanjo said, see, you will be the undertaker of the PDP. So he doesn't even have any good words to say about this party anymore.
All right.
So yet you continue to go to him and expend needless energy.
Okay, so let's move forward now. There is hunger in Nigeria, and Nigerians are sinking into desperate poverty. The story of some people is that of hopelessness. It is no longer bizarre to hear of parents using their kids as collateral for a bag of rice. One of the fastest growing businesses on the streets today is begging for alms. On Tuesday, the House of Representatives called on the federal government to implement programs aimed at tackling extreme poverty in the country. How did we get here, Judy, to this point?
Well, we've had a succession of bad leaders. We've also had weak institutions. So corruption ensures that money that ought to be spent on infrastructure that can actually help stimulate our economy goes into private pockets. So government can come up with the right policies that will stimulate growth and development in our country. For example, we were talking, I think some days back, we were talking about taxation and all that, and I was talking about the need to pay taxes until Fowler came onto the national scene. We were just behaving like, look, there's no need to tax people. And recently, a big company was invaded because they would not pay tax. And guess what? The company was weighing more than 20 billion in taxes.
Wow.
So how can a country grow like that? Because elsewhere, even taxes alone, money from taxes alone are used to run the country. Some of these countries that you see, they don't have mineral resources, but they get by. And with people's taxes, they're able to provide the needs of the people. You shouldn't bother about educating your children, for example, because government will take care of that. We had a governor in this state who claimed that education in Nigeria is the cheapest. Of course, by the limit of his exposure, he would think like that. But we know that Scandinavian countries, for example, education is free at every level. And there are Nigerians now who are running to Canada and all those because they know that it also offers them an opportunity to train their children, you know, for little or nothing. But here we are, workers don't get paid on time. Because when they're talking about this poverty, workers don't get paid on time. Some are being owed up to 9 months salary, 7 months salary. The pensioners in Kogi State, some pensioners are being owed 22 months. I know people. So these are the things deepening poverty in our country. Every Nigerian ought to feel that this is a country for me. But we are not saying that. We are not saying that.
Now, Wale, as deep as poverty has eaten into the fabrics of the society, can we really find a solution on trying to eradicate it, no matter the measures we come up with?
I don't think, to me, honestly speaking, it might look as if one is trivializing the issue. I don't think there's a big deal to it.
How do you mean?
Well, about the so-called extreme poverty. What I see here is too much concentration on the federal government.
Inequality?
No, in terms of blames.
Oh.
For God's sake, you have local governments there. You have state governments there. What are they doing? There's a paper presented by Dr. Akinwumi Adesina, I think a few days back in the US. And he was saying something that the largest expanse of arable land in the whole of the world is in Africa. When you are talking about Africa, for God's sake, you have to pick Nigeria.
First.
Go to the average local government, for God's sake. There's land there, plenty. What are we doing with it? The first thing...
But access to it is a problem.
No.
People are not given the rights to farm. You don't just go and pick a land.
You don't understand. Farming. It's not you that pick the land. That's what I'm talking about. The governments. The local government, for instance, what are they doing? What authority do you need from anybody to encourage people to go into farming? Look, I've been.
Local governments do not have
the autonomy.
such control over land.
No, I'm not saying they should. No, did they wait?
So how do people even access the land?
Wait now.
That's the question she's asking.
Wait now. There is hardly anybody in this country who is from somewhere who doesn't have one farm or land or somewhere. in their respective areas. I'm talking about people in our respective rural areas. Everybody have access to land. The major thing we are talking about.
We don't all come from rural areas.
Listen. Okay,
you are from those rural areas.
You are from Saleko. You are from Ijebufe.
No, it's not all of us who are from rural areas.
No.
There are people from Ikorodu already.
Plenty of land in Ikorodu.
See some of where they come from Ikorodu are already built up.
No.
Built up.
I
you
disagree with you.
Farmlands.
Go to Igbobo, go to Bayeko, go towards the
If you are not from there, you now go and
you are from, for God's sake.
You go and appropriate land.
What I'm saying is this. It is very, very easy to do if our local government chairmen, if they have this obsessed, and that is the honest truth. Because the reality is, at a certain point in time, in fact, that is what Lagos State is still doing now. Because the land for agric in Lagos is not that much. Lagos move into other states to get land for agriculture. What does it cost a local government chairman? If you look at the average farmer in the village, are you aware that with just 10,000 naira, even 20,000, you give the guy 20,000 naira, what that guy is going to bring for you next year will be enormous? Are you aware of that? What, a lot of them don't have this. That is the truth. And you know why I'm saying this, Jide? I was involved. When I was in government, I know what I did in my local government. Just little money, not big deal. Just gather them together and make sure that these are the people who are really into it. For God's sake, they have the database of these people. If they don't have it, it's very, very easy for them to get it. It's not everything all the time.
It's not, farming alone cannot take Nigerians out of poverty.
That alone, farming alone, will take a substantial number of our people out of poverty.
Right,
and that is
we have to discuss
this thing. We have to discuss this thing. You know, we are talking about subsistence farming. We should be talking about commercial farming.
Yeah.
Subsistence farming cannot get out of poverty, that is true, but it can take us somewhere. But you know, let's not trivialize it, really. It's a very important issue, poverty. But in my own problem with the concept, it is conceptually wrong for the House of Representatives people to be talking about federal government. Are they not part of federal government? They are the ones that even make the law. They are the ones that appropriate funds. Why would they talk about federal government? Who is the former the suspended SGM? Who is the presidency? Who is the federal government? They are part of the federal government. But you know, conceptually, in 2005, there was a document. It is not an academic document, needs document. And they talked about simple things. They talked about educational institutions improvement. They talked about how you build skills of people to be able to work in the industry, SMEs. If you do not have all those things like that, we're talking about the big picture, Abuja, federal government, we will not get out of it. Whereas we have these SMEs, we keep reading about how they are doing this in Bangladesh, how they are doing it in Singapore, how they are doing it in China.
What's the way forward?
But
because we're running out of time.
Unfortunately, definitely, what we are talking about that we never talk about here, this issue of federalism, to get people to be able to exploit potential that is available everywhere. Definitely, I'm from a village. And when I go to the village, you see green everywhere. But nobody is telling the like Osagbe Moloko. I don't know how you can really interpret that. They are not farmers. All the potential farmers or whatever are in the city. In the city. I believe that I think we need to discuss this thing really. We need to even improve the educational institutions to be able to give skills to people to get to work in the industries in such a way that we get to employ themselves. That is SMEs. We have Smedan that is largely redundant there at the federal level. We don't have such things in many state
you know that very soon the Bank of Agric will wind up. And these are banks that should actually provide credit for farmers and all this low level.
You know, we also need something like that from MDG to SDG. Now, MDG, extreme poverty.
We address it for 50 years. We have problems. We have problems merely taking to farming because I hear people wax lyrical about farming. Merely taking to farming will not solve the problem. Even the people in the East, for example, they don't have enough land for everyone who wants to farm.
Okay, I'm afraid we'll have to wrap up the program at this point, but I must thank you, gentlemen, for coming on the show. Well, that's all on Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of the program. Watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11. You can also watch Journalist Hangout on our other platforms showing on the screen and on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria. Our feedback channel is Journalist Hangout at tvcnews.tv. I am Veronica Danny Boy. Bye for now, and God bless Nigeria.